Hey, everybody, it's Mike from the HomeHappy team. We're here on the HomeHappy Podcast once again with my friend Dallas Crick. We are going to talk about all sorts of stuff, but we had a thought. And here in BC, we have something called the Agricultural Land Reserve. It was brought out in the 70s. It was to protect farmland. It's done a good job of doing that. But is it time to rethink it? Dallas, let's talk about this.
Yeah, I think we're way overdue for something like this. Since I've been a kid, I've looked at this piece of land when you're driving by Orchard Park, and as far as you can see, it's just a field. And I've always thought to myself, why are we not building in here? Why is this piece of land just sitting empty?
It's the middle of town.
It's the middle of the town. And it's literally 2 square kilometers in the middle of town.
Yeah. And it's I think there's, the thought behind it was okay, but at this point, when we're completely, starved of housing and land to build that on, we need to rethink: is it really important to be growing fruit in the middle of Kelowna, which maybe in 1970 it was, but not so much anymore when we can't even sell fruit anymore. We basically are trying to put grapes in everywhere, and yeah, it's a beautiful piece of property that would be amazing for either single family or a mix of higher density stuff, but nobody seems to talk about that, and it's just taboo. You're not allowed to say that.
Yeah, I love going down Burns Road and getting my pears in late September and October, and taking the kids to a corn maze that gets stripped down. But I think there's a better use for that land for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of these things that everybody keeps wanting more homes, but nobody's prepared to change how they do that. And if you keep doing things the exact same way, nothing changes. So, from DCCs and the costs of municipal development, that stuff's got to change. It's crazy. You're going to put in all these homes that are going to pay property taxes, and yet you're going to absolutely, nuke the developer so that they can't possibly afford to build anything. And you wonder why there's no new homes. It just seems stupid to me.
Yeah, the amount of revenue they can get just off property taxes is insane.
Yeah. And if you look at that area, infrastructure is all there. There's nothing that they don't need to build a road, maybe one little one, but they're not having to put in sewer and all those other things. And obviously I'm simplifying it a lot, but we just need to think differently. And I don't feel like anybody really is. They just talk about it, but they don't really do anything.
One thing that I always think about too is, can we just get away from building, 3,000 square foot homes plus? Let's get where we're building 18 to 2,000 square feet, like you have in, in Rutland and Glenmore, older homes from the 70s to the 90s.
Yeah.
We don't need these huge homes. And then it can actually be affordable.
Yep. Yeah. Or is it, you're building duplexes or quads or whatever, but think differently than historic, what we've been doing for the last 20 years. Let's look at ways that we can kind of build stuff that obviously fits what we need, but also price wise. You can't, most people can't afford a 3,000 square foot home that's brand new. They're not going to be able to afford that, especially after all the costs and all the DCCs are built in and carbon tax and God knows what else that's built into that stuff. So.
Exactly. I just want to see kids on bikes again. I want to see a jump on the road and kids hitting it. Let's just get back to the 70s and 80s already.
Yeah, for sure. What were we talking about? We were going to mention something else. There was
we mentioned a couple things. An interesting one I thought was basically interesting. Fortis BC. They're basically saying, any development from 2027 on, you have no power. They cannot guarantee power to as late as 2029.
Wow.
And usually when they say that, that means longer.
That's insane. So you're going to go and build developments with no power and then wait and hope that they come up with a solution and they put up another windmill?
Well, if I was buying something and they said it was going to be done in 2028 with no power, I'm buying into that project.
And no bank is even going to finance it. There's no way. Why would they?
Exactly. You're not going to get a mortgage on that, and good luck.
This is classic BC, where we just don't plan ahead. We just get to the point of an emergency and then try and figure out a solution. And the Site C Dam's been feels like it's been 20 years they've been building that thing, and it's still barely online, and now it's already needs replacement. And how are you going to add more and more electric cars and electric everything if you don't have a grid that can handle it? That's crazy.
Totally. Even looking, the classic for me is just heat pumps. The big push by the Canadian government to throw heat pumps in everywhere, which I don't really think they work in Canada anyways, unless you're in Vancouver.
And when did natural gas become such a bad thing? We have tons of it, and we don't want to use it.
Yeah. And I did a little research. I went down a bit of a rabbit hole. Good luck finding where we get our power from. If you look in a Google search, it is so hard. Eventually I found when we do have a shortage of power, it's coming from California, Oregon, and Washington. Crazy. And I've never heard anyone talk about that. And I'm pretty sure those are coal burning power plants that's sending power up here.
Well, and AI is something else that needs tons of power. And I know Google and Apple are both supporting having small nuclear power plants now to power these massive AI server farms they have to do. So like all this stuff is coming. And I do think nuclear in the future is probably the clean nuclear is smart, using technology, and obviously not from 1955 in Russia. I mean, it's got to be a modern system, but we got to think about this stuff now that we seem to never want to look forward. We seem to always want to just look at, not my backyard. I don't want that. Let's not think about this.
Totally.
Wow, we're really kind of on a negative tilt today. This is
well, you know, sometimes you need a bit of a rant.
Yep, absolutely.
And just looking at the housing prices too, Mike, you know, I find it interesting what we're seeing right now. I was talking to one of the realtors that sells a lot of high-end stuff, and basically she's selling $800,000 stuff right now. So single family homes, that big market is between the $700 and $1 million mark. So I just took a quick look in the last 30 days. We have 36 single family homes that have sold, and between 1 million and 1.5, we had 31. If you go over $2 million, there's been 7 sales.
Wow. Well, and we've had the rollout of the new first-time buyers program, and you're allowed to go up to 1.5 million.
How successful has that been going?
Yeah, nobody's using it. So it's one of those things that it sounds good, but the execution of it is poor, and hasn't solved any of the basic issues. And that's the problem. Is affordability is a little better right now because rates have come down a little bit, and that is good. But we're also in the middle of a tariff war that scares everybody, so they stop looking. And like you said, you're looking at $700 to $1 million houses. Those are the ones that are moving. Nothing else is moving.
That's the sweet spot for sure. Yeah. And that's for first time buyers. And that's one of the things we always want to look at too. Like, I'm so sick of hearing the word uncertainty right now. I'm pretty certain if you're in that price range, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a market.
Yeah, for sure. The other interesting thing is if you're trying to become a landlord or want to convert your property into a rental or all those things, it's shocking to me how lenders, as soon as you say it's a rental property, they absolutely go crazy and they won't give you good rates. It's at least 0.5% higher as soon as you say it's a rental property.
Doesn't matter what product. On that, Mike, why are they doing this?
Well, they try to say that it's riskier because you're not living in the property looking after it, as if you're just going to let your rental property disintegrate and not look after it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me at all. That's an old sort of wives' tale that they've kept around in order to price it higher, in order to increase the risk. I get that it wouldn't be priced exactly the same, but I think you should be. Why isn't it based on the person of like who's handling it? If somebody's got great credit and has proven themselves, why wouldn't the rate be close to what they get on their residence? Like it should be. So
for sure.
Yeah. It's annoying, but it's lenders. I mean, the big banks don't answer to anybody. They do what they want. So obviously we all count on them, and it's a big part of our fabric in Canada. The economy is built around big banks, but it doesn't mean they should always have all the power, which I just think there should be a little bit more common sense.
Right. So get more rentals out there, but we're going to charge you more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's probably good for today. We'll end it there. We'd love to hear your input. We'd love to get some, if you have comments, if you have concerns, a different angle on it, we'd love to hear that. We appreciate you spending the time to listen to this. And yeah, please subscribe and like and share. Thanks for coming in.
Right
See you
on.
later, Dallas.